Welcome to the show, everyone. It's the Crypto Lark. Today, we're going to be talking about Matrix. They are leveraging artificial intelligence to create an intelligent blockchain which wants to be faster, more accessible, and more secure. We're going to be getting at just what that means, but first, a massive thank you to all you guys liking, commenting, sharing the videos around. You guys make all of this possible. The crypto community is awesome, so thank you so much for continuing to support the channel. And of course, you have to remember that this is not professional financial advice, guys. This is just a dude talking about cryptocurrencies on this place we call the internet. Let's jump into it. I understand why a lot of people have been very excited about Matrix, and it's been getting a lot of play recently here on YouTube and across the internet, and I think it's going to be getting a lot more play in the future. Now, let's try and break down some of the features here. You can see on the diagram behind me, they've got a lot of the features broken down in a nice, easy to digest way, but we're going to give you a little more details on what's going on here as well. Now, we do have prototypes already in action, which is awesome. It's an open source project, which is of course always awesome as well to see. They have got very high level connections as well. We're going to talk about the team a bit later, but we can already see some really big partnerships lined up. And of course, the biggest one here, and this is just massive beyond belief, is the One Belt, One Road initiative by China. Yeah, that's the new Silk Road, that $1 trillion plus project that China's rolling out. This is going to be the blockchain being used for that, and that is just massive beyond belief for any crypto project. They also have a highly efficient artificial intelligence learning algorithm. They're also going to be having a unique code. And this code is going to give the ability to form abstract description using natural language into executable code. What does that mean, Lark? Well, this, let me tell you, is going to be powerful as hell if they can pull it off. Essentially, you're going to be able to use natural language, whether that be typing or speaking, to make smart contracts. So simply you have to have input and output and conditions, and the algorithm will actually do the rest as far as putting it all together. So I say that I will release $10 to John if he cuts my grass, for example, and the oracle will confirm that he cut the grass, and then the money will be released. And so that kind of simple contract can be made into a smart contract and put on the blockchain. Now, my example is very simple, but you might think about business deals that are happening, shipments, and all these different things that are being used across the blockchain. Of course, this is not just finance and all these things, but also it's going to be a lot of supply chain. Obviously, the new Silk Road will be using massive amounts of supply chain infrastructure, and this blockchain will be at the center of all that. Now, they want to have more secure smart contracts. So we're going to have a rule-based analysis engine for those smart contracts, a formal verification toolkit for the smart contracts, AI detection for transaction identification and security, and also a deep learning-based platform for dynamic security verification. All very exciting things. So there's a lot of great security features coming in here. Now, the consensus mechanism is also very interesting. So it's kind of like delegated proof of work in a strange way, which is interesting. So essentially what you're going to have is a small number of delegates which are given the role of doing the proof of work, but it's going to be based on their proof of stake. So in order to be able to run these nodes and do the proof of work, they have to have a stake in the network, which is very interesting. There will be 6 different types of nodes. So we'll have a standard matrix node, we'll have cloud nodes, cloud storage nodes, trustworthy gateway nodes, storage nodes for external data sources, and AI service nodes. So it's a very complex ecosystem as well. There will also be a flexible multi-chain, so it's going to be private and public chain features. Obviously, the private chain option is very powerful because industry doesn't necessarily want everything to be on the public chain, right? Nor do governments. And of course, they're going to work with the government of China. So they really don't want all their secrets or movements or all these things to be listed on public chains. So they're going to have access from the private chains to the public chains in a very flexible system. Now, the optimization paradigm really is going to help ensure dynamic updating to really make sure we have really robust performance without the risk of incurring a hard fork. 1 million transactions per second is the promise. Now, we have some others offering that as well, like high performance blockchain, and they're going to be doing this, of course, via hardware. And we're going to see a similar situation here with what Matrix is trying to do. So basically the Matrix hashing model is aiming to be more application ready than Bitcoin. They're going to be building their own chips. So this is going to be run by ASICs. Remember, you have to have a stake in the network first, and then you'll be able to run your proof of work machines. Now, the really interesting thing here is that it's not just a regular hashing model either, and that's really important to point out, because the Bitcoin hashing model just makes Bitcoin, right? Think about all that computing power that is kind of wasted just making Bitcoin. Yeah, it's not a waste, I know. Running that financial system is incredibly important. But the guys at Matrix are saying, yeah, well, we can run the blockchain network, but also produce all kinds of interesting data. Now that is where it comes very interesting, because they can do things like the mining, yes, but they can also do useful statistics, artificial intelligence, different probabilities. So it's more purposeful mining than just doing the currency mining, which is interesting and compelling, because it would really take away that argument, yeah, well, it's a waste of computing power. Well, no, actually, we're using computing power to do many different things, so that's pretty cool. Now, for the mining hardware, there's going to be a second ICO in the future that will be used to support the hardware side of the business, so actually creating all that hardware, funding all of that. So that's something to watch out for in the future. If you missed out on the first ICO, there will be a second Matrix ICO at some point in the future, but I imagine that the price for the second ICO tokens, and certainly the hype around it, will be very different than the first time. They're also going to be doing a digital asset safe deposit box. So it's going to be a hot and cold wallet where your private key is never connected. So that's also pretty cool. They've got all their own hardware solutions, which is good and it's bad, because it means that you have a centralized place where all the hardware is coming from. You really rely on them to be running the network at the same time. The roadmap. So looking here at what's going to be coming on the roadmap, our first milestones are going to be in September of this year, as we see really the initialization of the project, private chain being launched. We're going to see some infrastructure being developed around it as well. By the end of the year, we're going to see the AI-enabled proof of stake, proof of work consensus coming out. But we got to look all the way forward until 2020 to really see everything that we want to see with Matrix coming out. So that's mining, applications running on it, the hardware, the mining facilities, big data applications. That's only a couple years away, about 18 months approximately from now. Of course, they have a lot to accomplish in that time. We're going to talk more about that momentarily. Let's take a look at the team, guys, and we have to start off here with Steve. He's the Chief AI Scientist. This is his CV. You can find it over on GitHub. It's absolutely massive. We're not going to go through point by point here, but it just, the awards, the honors, the projects that he's been involved with, the publications, the interviews, the lectures, it's absolutely massive. He's got massive experience, a diverse range of experience, and some really high level stuff. And that's just the first guy. You start looking through the list here and you see, wow, there's some really great names attached to this project. And then you start to go into the advisors. The advisors as well, you've got some really awesome people involved in the project, some really high-level people with really high-level connections, and that is, of course, always super important, not to mention associations with Hyperledger, for example, and the Linux Foundation. Looking at some of the partners as well, we see SmartMesh on here. So this is really important to see all of this, not to mention, of course, all the VC money behind it, like Torque, for example. So really high-level stuff going on here with Matrix. Now, before we really dive into the price action currently, I did want to point out some potential critiques here. The ICO, when it happened a few months ago, it did get a little bit messed up. The first kind of round of the ICO basically all went to whales. Now, they did try to right that wrong later, but still, that didn't go the best. We do have a lot of AI-based projects coming in to the blockchain space, Deep Brain Chain, SingularityNet, Vasio, ORS, and on and on and on. But I think these guys take it to the whole next level. I mean, this is a really intelligent project, not to mention the partnerships, not to mention the advisors, not to mention the Silk Road and all this stuff. Absolutely massive. And even though the team is very small, because it is a very small team right now, the team is awesome. They've got a lot of connections, and I'm sure there's a big development team in the background that simply aren't listed on the website. The natural language contract programming. Now, the if here, if this can be pulled off in an efficient way, that's going to be massive. Like really massive. You think about what a barrier it is right now for all these projects. Yeah, okay, smart contracts are great, but how many people can code? Yeah, not that many. And you look at Ethereum, well, how many people can code in Ethereum? Well, way less. And so if you could actually have natural language contract programming for really basic stuff, that's going to be super powerful if they can pull it off. The scale of this project is crazy. If they're going to be the blockchain for the One Belt, One Road initiative, that's massive. Absolutely massive. And just the technology they're trying to bring out, let alone the logistics of running all that, big stuff, guys. Absolutely. Now, the potential here is huge. The scale of it's big, but that's also an amazing thing, because if they actually successfully do the One Belt, One Road initiative and run that effectively, wowzers, that is going to be big. This could very well be the next big Chinese project. I know a lot of people are already saying that, but you start to look behind it, look at the people behind it, you kind of understand why there's that hype around it. And it's still only on small exchanges. And even though it is getting more traction on YouTube, it's still relatively under the radar, guys. Currently, the market cap's only $117 million. It's trading around 78 cents, which is a little more than double the ICO price, so not bad. And of course, the exchange listings right now, IDEX, Gate.io, Ether Delta, that's pretty abysmal. So when this does start to take off and gets listed on, Bittrex and Huobi and all these big exchanges, it's gonna pop, guys. But that's just my opinion. You'll let me know what you think about it in the comment section down below. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.